and also the Senate, because when he dies, the Senate decide to elect his brother Quintillus as emperor. Quintillus's reign can be summed up in that he was chosen emperor by the Senate, then the army rebelled and proclaimed Aurelian emperor, and Quintillus, who didn't have any troops to back him, at the first sign of Aurelian going against him, committed suicide, and that was the end of his reign. The real interesting thing about Quintillus is how long he actually reigned, because there are a few versions of the length of his reign. We have some sources that say he only reigned for 17 days. Another source that says something like he reigned for 170 days, but traditionally he had a very short reign. You can see things that are going on in his reign in that he's able to have coins minted in places like Siscia and places around the empire which it would take more than just 3 weeks.
Yes.
The emperor recognized as emperor and then start issuing the dies and minting the coins for him, which would be, even with the fastest of messengers, it would take more than just 17 days to start pulling all of this stuff off. So I think maybe number of days has been mixed up somewhere along the way. Maybe it's something like 71 days or 170 days, but something longer than 17.
I know that Alaric Watson's book on Aurelian does conclude that it must be longer than the 17 days.
He's not the only emperor in the 3rd century that gets accused of having an almost singular day reign. In the Gallic Empire, the Emperor Marius is accused of only reigning for a single day between the death of Postumus and Victorinus before being murdered, which again is not strictly true. You have Laelianus, I believe he's proclaimed as rival to Marius.
He's the one actually who Postumus defeats at Mainz.
Domitianus having coins. I think he's the case in that we've only got 2 coins of Domitianus.
I know that some people think that Domitianus might actually be a Narbonese Gallic usurper against Aurelian. That's actually been argued. So it's not entirely clear where Domitianus fits in everything.
Yeah.
But do we have coins of Marius?
Yeah, we do have coins of Marius.
Okay, so that's definitely more than a day.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he has to be accepted by the Gallic Senate. They had the institutions of the Roman Empire in the Gallic Empire. It's less of like a centrifugal empire, more like a local copy of the Roman Empire.
Sure.
They're not trying to, let's become Gauls again.
Yes.
You know,
they're not exactly
big statues of Vercingetorix going up. It's just kind of,
they still
we're
have
looking after our own affairs and we'll try and sort them out for ourselves.
They've still got consulships. They're still calling their emperors Germanicus. Yeah, as you say, it's this provincial copy of the Central Empire.
Yeah, so Marius, he has a reign of, presumably it was short, even if the sources are wrong. So like the Historia Augusta with the 30 tyrants. They are illustrative of the spirit of what happened. So like, Marius, did he reign for a day? Almost certainly not. But he was there for a very short amount of time.
Yes.
And just like how 30 tyrants, like, were there 30 tyrants? No, but there was a huge number of usurpers and rebellions during Gallienus' reign and beyond.
Yes.
That book is designed to illustrate.
It's also another example of really exaggerating how terrible an Emperor Gallienus was. Let's make an entire book about everyone who usurped against him and exaggerate the number.
Yeah.
Invent usurpers to add to the number.
Just coming back to Quintillus, so he was proclaimed emperor because he was related to Claudius. It didn't really work out, and he committed suicide. So.
Yes, I mean, yeah, he was posted at Aquileia, and he does seem to have had soldiers under him, but the soldiers, I mean, in the Historia Augusta's account, we can take it with a grain of salt, but in the Historia Augusta's account, the army of Aurelian is approaching, and they basically either kill him or just abandon him because they realize, well, what's the point? No, they abandon him, and yeah, that's when he kills himself, yes. That's how the Historia Augusta presents it. But yeah, certainly, I think him unrankable. He did not have a shot.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think he's necessarily incompetent either, because it's just the facts didn't marry up with what was happening on paper.
Yeah, in another time he'd been fine because dynastic succession fairly normal.
With Valerian, it is starting to work again, especially the army starting to recognize the successes of emperors. It's just Aurelian not only is effective, but also a kind of spiritual successor to Gallienus and Claudius because of his military success, rather than Quintillus, who's a successor by blood.
You know, we're not at a point, things are getting better, but we're not at a point yet in the history of this period where it seems the soldiers are quite ready to just trust in a dynast at this point. People with demonstrated military talent are higher on the priority list.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see that again with Florian, where Florian was quickly overthrown by the more established general Probus, whereas Florian was the dynastic successor.
Again, you have this conflict between blood and spiritual succession in that Probus was Aurelian's man. Yeah, I agree. Quintillus is unrankable.